Tonight's presentation is bound to piss off a great number of my own subscribers, and I've never really been one to care about that sort of thing, especially not now. Lately, I've noticed that when I take a controversial stance on something, and it pisses off people enough to unsubscribe from me, what happens is, interestingly enough, within 24 hours, all of those people are replaced. And more than that, I wind up with a net gain. So I suppose the trick would be to piss off as many of you as I can all at once. Hashtag I stand with Dick. Yes, this is a video response to the chantards over at Blue Chat. And before you say anything about me having appeared on the show previously, let me remind you that there is a reason why I don't play nice with others. The entirety of their stream last night went for just under 3 hours. And if you cut out the bullshit, the dead air, and all the parts where they were sucking JJ's dick, it boils down to about 40 minutes. And if you cut out the parts where they were playing Coughlan's stream from Monday, you're left with about 20 minutes of just beach talking. Now, my biggest contention with this whole thing, ever since this rivalry between Coughlan and JJ started, was that JJ did what JJ always does, and that's make a vague accusation without providing any evidence to back it up whatsoever. And of course, the biggest defense of JJ over at the JJ show is that Coughlan didn't provide any evidence either. Coughlan's not accusing anyone of a crime. Since when is the burden of proof on the accused? Now, the often cited evidence provided by Jenny McDermott is this conversation. Now, the question that you have to ask yourself is this. Is this actually sexual harassment, or is it a reciprocal, albeit vomit-inducing conversation? But if we're calling this sexual harassment, Jenny, then isn't this also sexual harassment, Jenny? Now, the most interesting thing about all of this is that this conversation continued for quite some time until Jenny finally told Coughlan to stop. But it wasn't because she felt uncomfortable. She told him to stop because she felt like she was betraying bewildered ape. As gut-wrenching as that sounds. And even if that was pretense, even if Coughlan made her feel uncomfortable, how can he possibly be blamed when she's leading him along? And even if Jenny was made to feel uncomfortable because of Coughlan's comments to her, is that the metric that we really want to use? As opposed to the already established benchmark of hostile environment? I mean, it's like when I go back and I watch my old videos, my old routine doesn't cut it for me anymore. Now I had to have a special machine built that chokes me while I masturbate. Some of you may have heard that joke before, and even if you did, I still made you feel uncomfortable just then, didn't I? Even if it was just for a second. I just sexually harassed everybody, didn't I? It's cool too, though. It's like a blood pressure cuff that goes around my neck, and there's a dead man switch that I have to hold on to it. Because, like, if I pass out and loosen my grip on it, then it just disengages me from the machine. And this really is why we need to establish a line that separates the genuinely sexually harassed victims from the stuck-up, humorless bitches who can't take a joke. Now, the thing is that sexual harassment already has a real-world meaning, and it has real, actual qualifiers. Most typically, it happens in the workplace, and it's a situation where the employee who's being sexually harassed has a choice between leaving the job or tolerating the sexual harassment. That is an inescapable situation. But that's not what we have here, is it? This is the internet that we're on. There are measures put in place that allow you, the user, to block things out that you don't want to see. But God forbid we take any personal responsibility. Now, had Jenny blocked Coughlan, and Coughlan came at her with another profile in order to get around the block, then yes, we would have no choice but to conclude that Coughlan was sexually harassing Jenny. But Jenny didn't provide evidence of this, did she, JJ? You accused a man of a crime publicly, and you didn't back it up with any evidence at all. Your word alone. Listen and believe. And you didn't care what rumors might come up, did you? Did you?
And this is what annoys me about this whole thing is when after this all died down, you know, this whole thing died down, and I sort of get back into YouTube a bit, and I'm wondering, like, she's appearing on all these hangouts and stuff. She's on the Breakfast Club, and it's their business, right? But I'm sat here going, did anyone not see what just happened? I just spent a day where I was falsely accused on purpose of 7 different crimes, committing acts of sexual abuse against women, and 1 against a 3-year-old child.
We already talked about this. I like the beginning of the show. If anybody's joining late, the 3-year-old child thing. No idea what he's talking about.
I have none either. That's the first time I've heard
to have any idea what he was talking about.
Okay. So.
Fucking knows. But one interesting thing is that these 7 separate accusations, you know, that not counting the 3-year-old, the 3-month-old,
okay.
whatever the fuck is, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, discounting that one, the 7 other ones, it's not like JJ is the one who's manufactured or even manufactures the wrong word, who's produced or pushed forward, presented these different charges. Like, these are 6 or 7 different, you know, completely different accounts from different people all across the internet, and JJ's only involvement in it is that she's been like, huh, that's interesting, or, you know, gee, I hope you're okay, like, just basically communicating with this other person on some level. I've been corrected by the chat. It was actually a 3-day-old. So here we go.
And this woman,
It's gonna be a 3.
taken away.
Yeah, we waited around long enough.
And she claims
a 3-year-old, but sorry.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how quickly a story can change when there's nothing objective to latch onto. Now, I wouldn't need to see the actual penis. Block it out. Show the chat log. He sent a full-body nude. Fine. Show the chat log, censor it if you need to, make it acceptable to YouTube's terms of service, publish it. That would be good enough for me. He just sent a dick pic? Well, I'm sure he wouldn't just send a dick pic without saying something like, I'm gonna bury it up to the duels. Get the chat log of him sending the dick pic to somebody, censor it out, redact any information you need to. That would be a hell of a lot better than the nothing you provided so far. But okay, let's say you are sitting on evidence of a crime. Did you report him to any of the social media platforms that he's been using? Did you give this evidence to any of the authorities? Did you take any of the steps in the process that would normally be called justice? But that's not social justice, is it? That's not how social justice works, is it? Oh, no. Innocent until proven guilty? That's the old way. We don't need that anymore. Who cares if it's designed to keep innocent people out of prison? Guilty until proven innocent. That's the social justice way. That's the way all first world nations should be. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the timing. Why did Coughlan do the stream when he did, instead of months ago when all this started? Why now? That's the question that's on everyone's mind, and it's the question I have an answer to. On the blue chat show, JJ herself seemed extra curious as to why this happened when it did. The answer was in the stream that they were watching. What you're seeing now is a message sent to Coughlan from a relative. Now, I have had to redact some of the private information, but this is how you do it, JJ. Now, the message itself is a copy-paste of what was sent to this relative, and while I can't at this time prove conclusively that this was actually sent to a relative from some shadowy anonymous figure, to dispute it, you'd have to contend that the relative concocted the entire thing himself, or something else that's equally outrageous. And it is more likely than not that a relative was sent this from some mysterious figure. But Among the other things alleged in this message, Coughlan, quote, has been accused of molesting an ex-girlfriend's child. Now, the last thing I want you to look at here is that Coughlan read this as early as 8:30 a.m. local time on Sunday, which coincides with the stream he had on Monday. Now, has JJ ever publicly said any of the things that were alleged in that message? Probably not. But that's not the point, is it? When you make a vague accusation of a crime, and you don't provide any information to back it up, nothing objective, nothing at all, you start the rumor mill rolling. After all, I heard that Coughlan anal raped a retarded midget in a McDonald's parking lot the other night. My word's good enough, isn't it? It was good enough for JJ. And because you're the last little Indian, you're the last one standing, the last holdout, the last person still publicly accusing Coughlan of a crime, of course he's going to go after you, especially when the rumors start reaching his family. In closing, I'm not going to fall on my sword for Coughlan. I won't do that. Years ago, I subscribed to the theory of the Big Crunch, which is an end-of-the-universe worldview. And I believed that until evidence was shown to me that made it more unlikely than not that the Big Crunch was going to happen. I was forced to change my worldview on that day. So if evidence comes to light that Coughlan did any of these horrible things that you say that he did, I'll be forced to reconsider my opinion of the man. But you know, if you're going to publicly accuse a man of a crime, do you know what would be an order of magnitude more credible than your word alone? Anything!